Well, South Africans wagered 257.6 billion rand on gambling in 2011, which equates to more than 8,000 rand per adult. Overall turnover for all types of gambling rose 10.6%. And joining us for a closer look at South Africa's gaming outlook is Nikki Forster. She's leader of hospitality and gaming at PwC. Thanks so much, Nikki, for joining us this afternoon. Well, your report is titled South African Gaming Outlook 2012 to 2016, yes. Betting on the Future. What's the status of the gaming industry right now, and what kind of future are we looking towards here?
The gaming industry is actually very healthy. Consider we've been through recession. It's weathered the storm very healthily, and certainly has bright prospects for the future.
Does it surprise you that it's weathered the storm quite successfully? You know, we talk about consumers not having enough in their pockets and having to dig deeper. So to what extent is this a surprise?
It's a little bit of a surprise perhaps, but I think, you know, sometimes when times are tough, people like to take a chance and hopefully hope for the best. So it's interesting. I think some people will fall away and some people will continue to gamble.
Nikki,
yes.
Let's say you had 100 rand. Let's say that 100 rand was wagered last year,
yes.
2011, on gambling. What's the split there between sort of horse racing and blackjack and limited payout machines? Can you give us an idea?
Yeah, the vast amount. I mean, 80% of what is gambled goes into the casino industry. Horse racing, sports betting picks up about 15%, and then really, to be quite honest, limited payouts and bingo are real minor players in the market at this point in time, and I do say at this point in time.
Okay, so that's the kind of, sector or split we're seeing within the various divisions,
yes.
of the gaming industry on a geographic basis,
It's heavily biased towards Gauteng, with also KwaZulu-Natal and Western Cape coming in there. Those three provinces collectively account for over 75% of gambling.
What's driving that?
Well, if you look at Gauteng, I mean, Gauteng accounts for like just over 40% of that. I mean, let's face it, that is by and large where the money is. If you look at some of the other provinces, they've been much harder hit by the recession in recent years. So yes, that's the powerhouse, the financial powerhouse. But also you've got, for example, if you take casinos, you've got 7 casinos sitting in Gauteng. So lots of product offering there.
Nikki, how does the government have a look at this? I mean, it must, the Treasury must start licking its lips when it sees 258 billion wagered in 2011. I mean, it's a sin, for goodness sake. I mean, like it's like beer and wine and spirits and cigarettes. It's a natural target for heavy taxes and levies. What's the current situation?
It is. I mean, if we just take a step back and say, yes, 257 billion was bet. Of that, actually quite a lot of it went back to actually the individual gambler. So we're talking about a much lower number, around about 14.8 billion that's actually retained in the industry as pure revenue. But if you look at that in terms of taxes, and now if we look at just direct taxes and gaming levies, so I'm not talking about VAT or income tax, the industry paid 1.8 billion in tax in 2011, which is quite a substantial number.
We've had casino revenue stats for October coming through, and that only showing an improvement of 0.7% year on year. And I was going through some commentary that came through on the back of that, where the analysis said, you know, especially since the current economic environment is the way it is, in our view, not conducive for strong casino revenue growth. Various positions are taken on various counters within the JSE. But what's your response to that kind of commentary that's out there?
It's very interesting, because I think what particularly the casinos are finding is that one month they'll have fantastic increases in revenue, and then the next month it's down. And at the moment, it's hard to relate it directly back to the economic climate, but it's actually hard to relate it back to individual events occurring in the economy or at individual locations. So if you sit down and ask many of the players, they can't explain the month-on-month trends, but overall, on an annual basis, the trend is positive.
Nikki, if you're not a gambler but you're an investor, you don't want to
Yes.
go down and put 50 rand on horse number 7 at Newmarket. You'd rather be more scientific and have a look at the JSE Securities Exchange and the companies that are exposed to the gambling industry. What would you say to them without giving tips? Because I noticed towards the end of the report you kindly sent us, you say a lack of legal clarity and regulation makes it difficult to determine the future growth of the online gaming industry in South Africa. That's the first thing, and that could be absolutely massive. But the industry in general also is subject to the vagaries of regulations and also to the vagaries of economic growth.
Very much so. Yeah, certainly economic growth and the feel-good factor in the industry. But also, like you say, regulation. Regulation is a big issue to the gaming industry. Not that they don't want to be regulated, they do. But if we look at now the introduction of the extra 1% tax that is due to come in 2013, that's going to have a significant impact on margins in the industry, such that, you know, it makes the players nervous, and it will impact on their profit margins.
While we've got that impacting profit margins on that end, having less of an impact on profit margins is, the kind of regulation that isn't in the online gaming space. I mean, take us through that and how much lost revenue we're looking at as a result of that.
We don't know. The honest answer is we don't know what the leakage is. But yes, online gaming or gambling in any form other than sports betting is currently illegal. The licenses which were earmarked have never been issued. It has been recommended by the Gambling Review Commission to legalise internet gambling. But there are a vast number of regulations and processes that need to take place before that actually becomes a reality.
Yeah, do you see it becoming a reality anytime soon?
I do, but not in the near future. If we look at the world we live in, it's a technological world. Everybody wants to do everything on the internet. They want to do it instantaneously. Ultimately, yes, I do believe we will have online gaming in South Africa, but we need to protect minors. How do you monitor people's age? How do you monitor where the cash flow goes? How do you collect the taxes for the South African government and don't have that leakage of taxes? There are a vast number of issues which need to be very clearly and responsibly addressed before I think online gaming becomes a real reality.
Yeah. Nikki, for just finally, I know you sort of touched on this with Alishia at the beginning of the interview, but does the gaming industry prefer a booming economy, or does it not matter? Because when people get depressed, they do a couple of things. They might go out for a beer, or they might go and gamble to try and seek economic betterment. But in general, is there a link with gambling spend and GDP growth?
Yes, there is. I do believe there is, but I don't believe it's necessarily such a significant link as you would perhaps get in some of the retail sectors, and I think like the hotel industry has been through recently. So yes, definitely a link, but not necessarily such a strong one.